Listen to my explanation. All right, now, again, I tell everybody this should be the process. The first thing you do is you look at and say, am I adding or subtracting these? Subtracting. Because I'm subtracting, I want to put the larger fraction on top. The larger fraction happens to be 4 1/9 minus 3 7/9. Now I have a little bit of a problem. Can I do 1 minus 7? No. Do we have common denominators? Yes. So all I have to do now is borrow from the 4, make it a 3, cross out the 1 and make it a what? 10. I'm making it a 10. All right. Now 10 minus 7. 3/9. 3 minus 3. 0. So all I have to do is look at 3/9 and say, wow, that was kind of easy. Bless you. All I have to reduce is 3/9 and make it 1/3. If you got 1/3, give yourself a check. That's pretty good. All right, that's really pretty good. If you didn't, now's the time to say, hey, man, I don't understand borrowing. I don't understand what you're doing. All right. And some of you might say, well, I understand your explanation now. Anybody have any questions with that? All right, so let's see how you did on 26. Once again, am I adding or subtracting? Subtracting. So I'm going to put the biggest fraction, 2 5/6, minus 1 11/15. Now, is the answer going to be positive or negative here? Definitely positive, because 2 is bigger than -1. All right, now everybody should look at that and say, okay, common denominator is not the easiest thing to find, but I start with 15. 6 doesn't go into 15, so now I do the next multiple of 15, which is what? 30. Does 6 go into 30? Yeah, then that's the common denominator. So now I'm looking at 30, I'm looking at 30. So I have to multiply the top equation by what? 5. Now I'm kind of expecting you to kind of do that in your head, but if you're not sure about it, put the times 5 and times 5. Now that becomes what? 25 over 30. And the bottom one I have to multiply by what? 2. So just to make sure, even though you don't have to have that step in there, sometimes for those who are just learning or forgot, it's a good thing to have in there. Now, do I have to borrow this time? Am I borrowing? No, because can I do 25 minus 22? Yeah, what's 25 minus 22? 3 out of 30, and then 2 minus 1. Did we say the answer was positive? So now I just have to reduce 3 over 30. 1 1/10. You got that? Okay, right? You're pretty good. All right, you're pretty good with fractions. All right, everybody's happy with that? All right, like I said, guys, this is where I'm getting ready to give you another worksheet and say, go at it. I'm gonna collect it tomorrow. All right. Exact same thing, just different numbers. All right, so you should be able to do it. All right, here we go. 27. What am I doing here? Adding or subtracting? Adding, because they're both what? They're both negative. So here we go. -9 1/4 minus 2 1/9. Common denominator is 36. 36. So the first fraction is a 9. Anybody have any problems with that being 9? Second fraction is what? 4. Now, the reason I say, am I adding or subtracting? Because at this moment in time, you're supposed to look at that and say, okay, it's really what? Negative what? 9 and 4 makes what? 9 and 4 makes 13, right? Do we agree we're adding? The reason why we're adding, I need you to listen. The reason why we're adding is because they're both what? They're both negative. You have to add. If one's positive, one's negative, then you would do what? Subtract. Thank you. That's it. Join in the class. Answer my questions to yourself. If you're answering my questions correctly, you know what you're doing. All right. So now that's 13 out of 36. And then what? 9 and 2. What do I do with those? -11. That's my answer. -11 and 13/36. Everybody happy with that? All right, give yourself a check if you got that right. And hopefully you're 3 for 3. And if you made a mistake, 2 for 3 is okay. All right, you're judging whether or not you can do the work. All right, now let's take a look at this. Adding or subtracting?
Subtracting.
Okay, this one's easier because we already have the common denominators, but I set it up so I would have to do what? To make sure you understood borrowing. Exactly, we have to borrow. So borrow from the 3 and make it a, and then the 5 becomes a 13. You're right, you're good, everything is good. Now subtract, what do I get? 5 over 8 or 6 over 8? 6 over 8, correct? And 6/8 reduces to what? 3/4. Now, do I really care that you said 13 minus 7 was 5? I don't really care. That's just math. That's just arithmetic. The process is important. Does everybody understand what I'm getting at, right? The little mental mistakes, we're all going to make those. All right. I don't care about the mental mistakes if you understand the process. If you don't understand the process, the math doesn't matter. All right. Anybody have any issues with 3/4? All right. So you should be saying, wow, I'm pretty good. All right. Here we go. Adding or subtracting?
Subtracting.
Subtracting. Which one goes on top?
13.
And is my answer going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
That's the process you should be saying to yourself. And I put a little negative up there so I remind myself, don't forget the answer is negative, even though I'm subtracting. So 13 and 7/8 minus 9 and 3/8. But technically this is plus and that's minus. All right. So when I subtract, what do I get? 4 over 8 and then 4 and 4/8, which reduces to 1, 4 and 1/2. And don't forget it's what? Negative. All right, negative 4 and 1/2. We're just doing the worksheet, okay? Finish up the last checking your work. Anybody have any issues with that? Okay, now let's look at, 30 is nice. 30 is nice. Now, in my opinion, all right, I feel like we should just do 2 at a time. All right. Now, for me personally, I would do the addition first. Listen to what I'm saying. All right, I would do the addition first. All right, is everybody with me on that? All right, so if I'm looking at that right there, all right, I'm just going to say 6 and 7/8 plus 4 and 1/2. All right, common denominator is what? So 1/2 becomes 4 over 8. Anybody got a problem with that?
No.
Now, do I really have to put 7/8 down again?
No.
No, I don't. Come on, be smart. All right. So now when I add, I get what? 10 and 11 over 8. And of course, I'd want everybody to know that's the same as what?
11 and 3 over 8.
11 and 3/8. Okay. Anybody have any questions with that? Now we have one more fraction to go because now I have to subtract what? 3 and 1/4. So I come over here and say minus 3 and 1/4. Common denominator is 8. So 1/4 just becomes 2 over 8. Is everybody happy with that? And then we have 11 minus 3. That's all right. I know what you meant. 11 minus 3 is 8. 3 minus 2 is 1/8. 8 and 1/8. How's everybody doing on that?
Good.
All right now. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I don't really like to spend 2 days on an assignment, but I feel like 2 days on assignment for this is super important. All right, understanding, adding and subtracting with unlike denominators, borrowing. All right, there's a lot to that. All right, now your job right now is to say, well, his explanation helped me out a little bit from yesterday if I didn't understand, or I already knew all that, so I'm glad we checked my work because I can see I'm in great shape. Now, I want anybody who did these problems and like, man, I just want to make sure I'm right on this one problem. Does anybody need me to check over another problem? Tell me, good for you. Let's look at 6. Didn't we do 6 together? Oh, yeah. So it's the same thing. All right. Same as the other problems now. I want to add, right? Or you could say, because these don't have whole numbers, everybody should be able to look at the 6, the 8, and the 12 and say, what's the common denominator with 6, 8, and 12? Right. Is everybody happy with that common denominator being 24? So I throw down one giant fraction to make that 24. So I have to multiply this by what? 4. Come on, think for yourselves. I'm multiplying that by 4, right? And what is that? 20 minus, then I multiply by what? So that became a 21 multiplying by, so that became a, come on guys, that's pretty good, man. Does everybody see how simple that is? Like I said, I don't understand why people in 7th grade have trouble with fractions after you've done it for so long. So if you've been having trouble with fractions, you got to step up now and say, man, I got to get this last year I'm showing you. Anybody having any issues with that right there? Now, personally, I do 20 plus 22. What's 20 plus 22? 42, and then 42 minus 21. Is that right? 21 over what? Now, another way is just say 20 minus 21 is -1. -1 plus 22 is still 21. Now, what do I have to do to that? To what? 7/8. If you got 7/8 yesterday, you did good. All right. Now, look, I'm sitting here begging you to ask me a question. All right. Anybody? Liv, how'd that go? Anybody? Anybody? All right, guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to let you work for 15 minutes, and then we're going to go over a couple. All right, now, the harder problems are at what? At the end. So I think we should do the harder ones first. All right, somebody wants me to help them with 18. So let's double check 18 and make sure that's good. All right, we didn't quite finish this yesterday when the bell rang, correct? So this was 4, 6, correct? So then we added them and got 18 and 9 over 6, right? And I reduced that to 18 and 3 over 2. So that's 19 and 1/2. Is that right? All right. Okay. So now I'm going to give you like 15 or 20 minutes. Now, what was I saying? I was saying that I'd like for you to start at the back. Does everybody agree with me? Because the ones up front are easier. Do you agree? All right. Now, does everybody understand what I said? You're going to get the same worksheet. It's going to look exactly the same. But what's true? All the numbers are what? All the numbers are different. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly look at your homework and give it back to you. So if you want to use your homework, that paper as a guide, if you're a little unsure, I'll give it back to you in a minute. All right. But let me pause the video. And while you guys are making sure that your name is on the paper, they're having trouble. All right. If you're having trouble and you don't ask, I can't help you. All right. That's just the way it is. You got to be brave and speak up. Don't worry about what other people think. All right. Here we go. All right. Now, I told you before, I wanted you to probably add the positives first. Does everybody agree with that? So I'm going to add those. All right. Now, some of you guys are getting pretty smart. Can we say that the common denominator is what? 8. So 1/4 is the same as how much? 1/4 is the same as what? 2/8. So I have 6 and 7/8 and 4 and what? 4 and 2/8. If I add those together, I get what? 10 and 9/8, which is the same as
89.
what? No, never. Say it. I don't know where you've been at. I don't ask you to do that. 11 and 1/8. 10 and 9/8 is 11 and 1/8. Now I'm subtracting 3 and 1/6 minus 3 and 1/6. Common denominator is what? 24. So everybody's supposed to have a 24 down and a 24. Multiply the 8 by what? 3. 3 times 1. 3 over 24. Multiply the bottom by. So 4 over 24. Is everybody happy with that? Can I go 3 minus 4? No, I have to do what? Borrow from the 11 and make it a 10. 3 plus 24 becomes 27. Anybody have any issue with that? Now subtract 27 minus 4. 23 over 24. 10 minus 3, 7. If you can do that, then you're going to ace the test. All right. What? No, I don't want you to do the big line. I didn't tell you to do the big line for those. Does everybody understand me what she's saying, right? You can't do the big line for that. All right. What? Okay. It's not going to work always. Because you're borrowing. I know that. All right. We've done 30 problems now. When you borrow, you add the numerator and the denominator together. That's what you do when you borrow, always. Now, why do I do that? Because I'm adding 1. 3/24 plus 1 is 3/24 plus 24 over 24, which is why you do that. All right. You always are getting a common denominator. All right. You always add the numerator and denominator when you're borrowing. Please tell me. Yes. Yeah, it definitely will. All right. Most definitely. Come on, Davis. What?
The big line that I got.
I know. Stop doing that. I don't want to do the long. Listen to me, some of you are going to learn this by the end of next year. I am showing you what the best, most effective way to do it. If there was a better way, guess what? I would tell you that is 100% correct. True words have never been spoken. All right. That is exactly correct. If there was a better way, guess what? I would what? I would show you. I promise you, I would show you. You need to understand these numbers to be successful with higher level math. All right. That's what I need you to do. All right. This is the beginning. All right. This is how I want you to do it. For a reason, I'm asking you to do it this way. All right. Here we go. Next, let's try 29. Once again, there's 2 positives and 1 what? So we're going to add the positives together. So we're smart. So now we can say the common denominator is what? What's common denominator? 20, right? The common denominator is 20. So now I have 9. 3/10 is how many 20ths? 6 out of 20. Plus 4. 1/4 is how many 20ths? 5 20ths. Anybody got an issue with that? Good. Come on, some of you guys. Add that together. What do I end up with? 13 and is that us? Okay, guys. So I'm not going to make you do all of this. So here's what I need. First off, let's just do 19 through 30. 19 through 30. I'll make you do the trickier ones. All right. And we'll spend time in class tomorrow. All right. Reviewing just like we did today. Now, you guys, I also have the 8th grade treats for us. I usually get them stuff, but they didn't show up. So during snack, you guys come back down here during snack and I'll hook you up with a donut. Yeah. 19 through what? 19 through 100. All right, guys, come back down during snack.